from across this gorgeous planet. We are one church, many paths, one mountain, where our mission is what Barbara Marx Hubbard and Dr. Mark Goffney call the planetary awakening in love through unique self-symphony. Together, we declare that the last day of the old face of evolution is honored as the first day of the new face of creation. I am Christina Tehel, the co-executive producer, along with Krista Josefa and Kirsten Zohar, and we are delighted to be here with you today. I welcome all the new people. Please do share that you are new in the chat box. We want to hear from you. When you do chat, make sure to chat to everyone by checking that your chat settings say all panelists and attendees and not just all panelists. Use the chat function to say hi, to let us know where you're from, and to resonate the Dharma as we go along through church. In one church, many paths, one mountain, we are connected, we are whole, and we're expressions of the entire process of creation. We are activating a new humanity, and we are awakening as a new species. Homo amor, the fulfillment of Homo sapien. We are a church, a synagogue, a mosque, a temple, a zendo. We're all of it. No one is excluded, everyone is included, and we come together to attune to the evolutionary impulse awakening within us. Welcome home, everyone. We are overjoyed to be with you today in week 195. Let everyone know about One Church, Many Paths, One Mountain. We are doing this primarily through word of mouth. Barbara talked about each of us having a family of 10 here in church, each of us tending our evolutionary family. And I can tell you that that is such a wonderful experience to be part of that and to tend that family. So leadership around church is a sacred opportunity. On YouTube, we are One Church, Many Paths, One Mountain. On Facebook, we are facebook.com/onechurch.world. Right now, we are streaming live on YouTube and Facebook. Take a moment and copy either of the links from the Zoom chat box here and share those live links on any of your favorite social media channels like Facebook or Twitter. After church, we will send you an email to invite your friends and family, and do forward that email right after church. Spend time on our website, www.onechurch.world. On the top menu of the homepage or the bottom of each page, you will find our membership link. With that, I give you a little bit of what to expect over this next hour or two. We begin with a Dharma recap, then Dr. Mark sets our intention, then David resonates the evolutionary love code we are working with, then we move into prayer, then our sermons, and then when we close, we like to bring everyone on for our goodbyes. Mark wrote what he called evolutionary love codes. Mark and Barbara studied the codes together, often comparing them to Barbara's own 52 codes for conscious self-evolution. These codes grew out of their radical commitment over 100 collective years, crystallizing the new story of humanity. Quote, evolving the course of consciousness and culture, which is the source code of love, unquote. Each church is a standalone, and every week's church builds on the week before. One Church, Many Paths, One Mountain is radically committed to telling the new story. Here goes my Dharma recap from last week. There is no response to existential risk without first principles. Imagine 3 scenarios from a founder of the conversation around existential risk, Derek Parfit. 1, peace. There's going to be peace. 2, catastrophic risk. Pandemics exponentialized. 99% of the world is destroyed. 3, that extra 1% is destroyed. We go from 99% to 0. Ouch. The question he posed, David Parfit, which is worse, going from 1 to 2 or 2 to 3? If we go from peace to losing 99% of the people, it's a horrific tragedy. But if we go from 99 to 100% existential risk, we've destroyed all the futures, all the God to come, every future love, every future beauty, every future truth, every future possibility that's ours to manifest and to incarnate. And we've violated the covenant between the generations. We're not an ordinary generation. We're at a phase shift, the likes of which the world has never seen before. Everybody's uniqueness and unique greatness is needed. We are being forced to look at the inner power within ourselves. We are coming to know that we are evolution, desiring greatness, freedom, love, order, kindness, blessing. This empowers us to desire with a passion far greater than our own individuality. We break our hearts open together in order to break our hearts open. We break our hearts open so that we're not in that rote, that we actually understand what we're doing, standing between utopia and dystopia, that our generation is the one that has to wake up completely. You can't evoke global coherence just by talking about existential risk. No, you can only evoke global coherence by evoking a new story. And a new story has to be based on new first principles. First principles, what are they? First principles, or Dharma, the best integration of all the validated insights in all of the wisdom streams. First principles, or first axioms, is another way to say what we mean by using the word Dharma. First principle, separate self. I'm not defined by my tribe, my race, my nation. I have irreducible value and dignity. From the dignity comes emergent freedom, a great momentous leap forward. Separate self emerged and the pre-modern traditions got lost. Ouch. Spirit got lopped off. God was killed. People didn't realize that God is actually so much deeper and so much more than that. People killed a caricature of God. Now, we're not quite sure why we have dignity. The dignity started to be contrived, a dogmatic claim that we're just a random aggregation of particles, that reality has no purpose or telos. Reality isn't an accident. The universe feels, and the universe feels love. It's the way we love each other and the way we love reality open with radical activism. There's no collective guilt. There's collective responsibility. And every generation is responsible for its evolution of consciousness, which is the evolution of love. Love is real, not contrived, made up, or a social construction of reality. Love is the most real force in the cosmos. Love is intelligent. Love moves between the agony and the ecstasy. Love is not neutral, static, or just eternal. Love evolves. Love evolves reality. Reality actually is the story of the evolution of love. We're just at the beginning of this great experiment where humanity can unfold the most gorgeous truth, beauty, utopia on earth, levels of God consciousness. There's some way in which infinity individuates through each of us and then becomes mysteriously, mystically more. We can literally participate as infinity intended, as finitude in the evolution of God, in the evolution of value. Let our love change the world. Let's love each other so much. The deeper we love each other, the more our love has to change the world. With that, I invite us to more deeply enter into the holy and sacred space of one church. And I turn my word to you, beloved Dr. Mark.
Beloved Christina Taheli, thank you so much. That was awesome. And it is so great to be everyone, and welcome. I'm in my friend Terry Nelson. Terry, it's great to be with you. Always says, let people know where you are. So Christina Kincaid and I just moved to Florida. And so we're in Florida. Christina was actually in COVID in Manhattan. She went through all COVID in Manhattan. We had just had our board meeting for the Foundation for Conscious Evolution and the Center for Integral Wisdom here. Lots of you were with us. Christina Taheli, you were on Skype because you were deeply sick, and you're so healthy now and so great. Remember that? It was unbelievable. So we had this great board meeting down here in Coconut Grove in Miami. And then I went to visit my colleague and Dharma sister, Sally Kempton, who's a great teacher of yogic philosophy. And Christina Kincaid went to New York to teach, and we were going to come back in a week or 2 weeks. And then COVID hit and planes and the whole story. So we actually were apart for the last 4 months. And I just landed here in Miami, and we're now doing, of course, quarantining and social distancing. And we've set up the new place, which is both an office for the Center for Integral Wisdom and our home. And of course, we haven't quite worked out the right place to do one church, many paths, one mountain from on Sunday. So I'm now in, you can all see there's the kind of the bedroom, and I'm looking out at the bay, and, Corona is raging here. I said to Christina, hey, it was raging when you were in Manhattan. It was raging when you're down here in Florida. So let's see what happens if we go to Idaho, right? But actually, underneath the lightness is an enormous amount of seriousness. And I'm just going to ask everyone, because I can kind of hear people a little bit. I'm going to ask everyone to just turn off just mute for a second, because there's a bunch of people probably in our circle who aren't muted. That'd be great, just so we can have a clear line. So friends, let's breathe. It's so easy, and I want to just notice something. Notice how we noticed Corona, right? 3 months ago. Notice how we noticed people who couldn't breathe, and notice how easy it is for suffering to become ordinary. And notice what holds our attention. I want to trace this with you for a second, and we're going to set our intention, because that's what we do now. We're going to set our intention. And our first intention is to move beyond social media streams. So we were in the middle of Corona. Just notice what happened. We were in the middle of Corona. We were totally right. Any governor that opens their state early is evil, right? Then we see a video of a terrible example of police brutality, right? And not the only one. And police brutality is not the norm in the police, right? The police is filled with wonderful and beautiful people. And there's a structural, essential problem in the police that we saw, right? And there's brutality towards the white population, towards the black population, right? Which comes from a lack of training and comes from, right, that which can never be tolerated and is outrageous and no peace, no justice. And Black Lives Matter exploded and the streets filled with people and we forgot about Corona. You ever notice that? And anecdotes and video anecdotes in our social media feed determined our worldview. And we were hijacked by recent social media feeds. So we're all participating in the social media experiment that we didn't sign up for. And we've lost the ability, which we desperately need today, to move out of the polarization, which can literally lead to a civil war. And that's, I want to get that, literally, without exaggeration, right? So we have to step out of the polarization and actually realize that which unites us is so much greater than that which divides us. And then we have a shared story. And now we're focusing again on coronavirus, even as we have to stay focused on this broader story. And coronavirus is, I'm in Miami, which is the epicenter now, is raging. There was the highest record of cases ever in the world was in Miami yesterday. And that means a lot of people are asymptomatic, but the hospitals are overflowing again and people can't breathe. Right? And then the death curves are going up and people are dying alone. So it's all happening. But notice our attention got turned away from it, so we stopped being able to feel it. So let's hold our attention. Let's hold our attention on the beauty and gorgeousness that lives in the world and on the pain and suffering, and hold them together, because there's no contradiction. There's no contradiction. Let's hold the integrity of the United States. And this is the intention I want to set for specifically today. The greatness of America. I want to hold with you today the greatness of America. Happy 4th of July on July 5th. We're in celebration of America today. And America is not only a place, America is a dream. And let's hold that dream together. And America is not only a place, America is an inspiration. And let's aspire together to the best principles of American democracy. And let's hold together the imperfection and the tragic flaws of America, because greatness and tragic flaws are not contradictory either in individual human beings or in great countries. So I want to say something, and I want to say it with full commitment and full passion. I've studied history intensely. I know of no country that rivals the greatness of the United States of America in world history. It's a big deal. Does America have tragic flaws? Of course it does. Did America have slavery? Of course it did. And the entire rest of the world had slavery, because consciousness had not evolved to a place in which slavery was recognized as the horrific evil that it was. So the issue is not, did America have slavery? Of course it did, but so did the entire rest of the world. The issue is, what did America do with slavery? And America abolished slavery, and Americans killed Americans in a tragic war in which hundreds of thousands of white males sacrificed their lives to abolish slavery. It's a big deal. It's a big deal. America's a great country, and it wasn't over then. And then you had racism that remained in America and in the rest of the world. You had Jim Crow laws, right? And you had voter suppression, right? And you had redlining. And there's no question that there's a systemic structure today in which there's a part of the society which is at the bottom rung of the ladder that doesn't know a way to climb the ladder. It's not available. You can't climb the ladder. That is a violation of America, of the great aspiration of America, of the great dream of America. So let's dream. Let's take the next step. Let's evolve love. Let's evolve culture, and let's evolve consciousness. But let's not take it from a place where we say, stay really close with me, we're going to transform the whole thing. It's a mess. That's what the Khmer Rouge said in Cambodia. Right? Let's restructure the whole thing because it's all terrible. Right? That's dangerous. That's Maoism. that destroys society, right? We're going to restructure the whole thing so due process doesn't matter anymore. Due process matters. Due process, it took us literally the entire evolutionary spiral to get to the momentous breakthrough of due process. That every human being, regardless of the color of their skin, it's based on the content of their character and available evidence, is judged by careful information gathering and evidence in a fair system. Now, is the system fair for everyone? No, it's not. We have to demand its fairness. We have to stand for justice. Wow, that's a big deal. And in Minneapolis, Derek Chauvin is going to probably go to prison for the rest of his life if he's convicted in a court of law. And the Minneapolis Police Department is being dismantled, right? Actually, justice is beginning to happen, and that justice has to spread throughout the land, but it has to come from a context of the celebration of America. And I celebrate America. America stepped in and ended World War I, right? Literally, right? And Britain and France did really important things. America stepped in and ended the war. America stepped in and triumphed over Nazism, right? In World War II. 38,000 Americans died in the Korean War so that half of Korea, South Korea, is not under the totalitarian brutality, right, of North Korea. America is challenging, not the Chinese who are beautiful, but the Chinese Communist Party, which is an incarnate Maoist-like evil in the world today. And we were afraid to call Stalin evil, right? Communism under Stalin and Lenin, right, unleashed more brutality on human bodies than any other force in history, including Nazism. Wow. And so America's actually said, is America perfect? No. No, of course America isn't perfect. Is America filled with, all sorts of flaws? Of course it is. But we have to stand, as Barack Obama said correctly, for the American dream. For the American dream. Do you know that there are more Black Africans in America who came in the last 50 years than who came to America through slavery? Why? Didn't they get the memo that America was a terrible country? Well, no, they came because, do you know that, right, in the world evaluations this year, after all of the leadership tragedy in America, this year, right, in the recent Gallup poll, right, the highest rated country, 22%. The next was Canada at 6%, the highest rated country in the world to actually come and immigrate, to have opportunity, was the United States of America. I'm proud of this country, right? And I challenge this country, my country, pledge allegiance to the flag, right? And we hold together the greatness of the American dream and the greatness of the founding fathers and the founding mothers. And we know it's an evolving story. We know that. And we know if you read Buddha's statements on women, they're terrible, because Buddha was caught in the culture of his time in his relationship to women. And America was caught in the structures of culture of its time as it emerged, but it set out ideals, right, which were beyond imagination. It's the great American dream. We got to take America back again, right? We got to take America back again, right, in a shared great American story of values, which America is not American exceptionalism, we're the best. It's more like we have a unique role to play in the unique self-symphony. When we stand together, or with every nation of the world, each of us playing our unique self-instrument in the unique self-symphony, each nation is a unique self. Does everyone get that? Each nation is a unique self, a unique configuration of evolutionary love, right? Right? Each nation is not a melting pot, but is a gorgeous configuration of human beings, of races, of colors, of religions, right? Of beliefs. But there's a bigger story. And that bigger story, right? It's not enough, but the story of America is a start, and it's a critical start. So I want to just stand for that together. And I want to ask, right, Christina Amelung, right, if you can, right, let's actually bring on Whitney Houston, right, who's one of my favorite human beings, and blessings to you, Whitney. And let's actually stand today, right? Stand with Black Lives Matter, and stand with All Lives Matter, and stand with every Black American, every white American, and every brown American, and every red American, and stand with Dr. Martin Luther King, right? And stand with George Washington, and stand with Thomas Jefferson, imperfect as they were, who held this great vision. And let's hold together the vision of the United States of America with mad gratitude, with mad pride. I'm proud to be an American. I'm more proud than I ever was. Do I think that we have some tragedies in American leadership? Yes, I do. I don't think there's anyone who doesn't. Right? Regardless of policy, there are some great tragedies in American leadership, and that'll get reconfigured. But don't lose sight, right? Star-Spangled Banner, right? America, right? Whitney Houston, right? Take us inside. Oh my God, and if you're listening to the replay, I want to ask you, please go down to the bottom, right? That link is there to Whitney Houston singing the Star-Spangled Banner before the Super Bowl. And I was with my son, right? My son, Zion, who's 9 years old, just a few months ago. And we went to a game of the San Jose, I can't even remember the name of the team. It was a soccer team. And Zion's madly into soccer, right? And at the beginning of the sporting event, they did the Star-Spangled Banner, and just tears were rolling down my cheeks. I'm like, wow, I am so proud. Do you remember the movie, friends? Remember the movie by Tom Hanks? And Tom, blessings to Tom, who got corona, right? And he's had a hard ride the last couple of months. Tom Hanks made a movie called Saving Private Ryan. I'm gonna go to the chat box. How many people have seen it? Take a look, anybody? Saving Private Ryan, we're in the chat box together. Who's seen it? Who's seen it, everyone? Who's seen it in the chat box? Right? Anyone see it? Yeah. Who's seen it? Right? Wow. Right? Right? Do you remember the opening scene? The opening scene was like unbelievable. It was these boys. And by the way, white and black males, right? Together, loving each other, holding a vision, pouring out onto the beaches of Normandy, knowing they were going to be killed, knowing most of them wouldn't survive the attack. Americans, right? And they stood for a better world. They stood for one love, and they stood for one heart, and they stood for one eros. Wow. One of my teachers was named Moses Feinstein. Moses Feinstein, he was a little man. He was the most genius mind, maybe ever. He was about yay high. He wrote 50, 60 volumes of legal decisions of law, right? And he wrote in one of his decisions, and people came to him from all over the world. He was the most encyclopedic, brilliant mind of Talmudic law. And he was the greatest jurist, like a Supreme Court. He was the Chief Justice, if you will, almost of the international Hebrew Supreme Court. And he was a man pious beyond imagination, lived in a little apartment on the Lower East Side. And his student was a man named Chaim Chait. Chaim Chait was my teacher. He had this old beat up Bonneville, and he used to take me and other people, and I would go down with them to Moses Feinstein's class on the Lower East Side. In a little place, there were about 20 people who came, that's it, right? Even though he was world famous. He was an incredible figure. And he writes that more than any other nation in history, America is what he called a Medinat Chesed. It's a nation of love. American aid, is it imperfect? Has it not been done always the right way? Do we have challenges to the International Monetary Fund and to the World Bank? Yes, we do. I'm deeply aware of the critiques, and I share many of them. And America has poured more resource of love, right, into the rest of the world and to create a protective umbrella of possibility than any other single country in the history of planet Earth. There's been no country, right, in the history of planet Earth, that's actually stood for love the way America has in all of our imperfections. And we're gonna only fulfill the American dream if we recognize we don't have to make America great again. We don't have to make America great again. America never stopped being great. And we don't want to go back to the old great America because that's not enough. It's a new world. And so there's a new greatness that America has to reach towards. And that's what we're standing for today. right? In the family of nations. Oh my God. Oh my God. It's so good to be with you, everyone. And it's so good to be proud. It's so good to be proud. Okay. Where are we? We're going to set the intention now. And thank you. And thank you for being with us and honoring the United States and being able to feel that and express that. And this is not a liberal conservative issue, right? It's our country. And our country means that the ethnocentric matters in the context of the world-centric. So Black lives matter in the context of all lives matter, right? We don't eradicate Jewish identity. We don't eradicate Black identity. We don't eradicate Chinese identity. It's a unique self-symphony. Does everyone get that? So that means I can be a citizen of the world and a proud American. And those don't contradict each other. There's no contradiction between my dear friend Steve Bannon. Steve, I love you, man, but you got this so dead wrong. Dead wrong, Steve. There's no contradiction between being a globalist and being a proud American. And that's a false polarity. And if there's any tragic mistake of our president, there's a bunch. But if there's a tragic mistake at the root of everything, it's an attempt to say that you have to either be a globalist or a proud American. That's a false dichotomy. That's a lie. That's not true. I am a citizen of the world. I mean, who can write that? I'm a citizen. I'm a proud Dutch. I'm a proud Belgian. I'm a proud German, right? And I'm proud to be part of Luxembourg. I'm proud to be, right, part of Bangladesh, right? I'm a citizen of the world, and I'm a proud Dutch woman. Right? And I'm proud of what Holland's accomplished, and I'm proud of what Belgium's done, right? So the ethnocentric and ethnocentric intimacy lives together with world-centric intimacy. That's utterly critical. There's no contradiction between the two. Okay, because its insides are aligned with love. What's our intention? Let's breathe for a second. What's our intention? We're gonna fly together here. What's our intention? We're in one church, and it's one synagogue, and it's one mosque, and it's one secular humanist center, and it's one atheist center. Right? Many paths, one mountain, one reality. We know that we're at a tipping point. We're gonna tip one way or the other. We're at what Rilke called a pivoting point. We're literally between dystopia and utopia. And I've been talking about this in many ways for the last 10 years. My partner, evolutionary partner, Barbara Marx Hubbard, has been talking about it for decades. Our friend David Ray Griffin is a great Whiteheadian scholar. I've just read David in the last few months. I've never read him before. And I see how close he is to some of our key dharma, right? Really gets this, right? But I want to say it, right, really clearly. The only thing that's going to take us home at this moment between dystopia and utopia is a shared story. And a shared story is not a fanciful conjecture, right? It's actually a new set of first axioms and first principles. And as Christina Tahel recapitulated beautifully today in her unique self, gorgeous energy, what we're calling the Dharma, which is the best integration of validated insights of pre-modern traditional wisdom in all of its lines of wisdom, and of modern wisdom in all of its lines, and of postmodern insight in all of its lines, the integration of all those together in a whole greater than the sum of the parts is what we're calling the new story. So another name for the new story is first principles, first axioms. And one church, many paths, one mountain is dedicated to articulating those first axioms. Think Da Vinci in the Renaissance as the Black Plague sweeps Europe, a pandemic which destroys, some say a quarter, some say half in Asia, right? Strikes the very heart of the world. And Da Vinci understands, as we've said so many times, you can't go into every village. You've got to do everything you can in every village, but you got to do more. You got to raise the whole system. You got to transform the whole thing. And how do you do it? Through a new set of first principles that are not declarations. They're not new age. They're not fundamentalist. They're the best integration of modern, pre-modern, and postmodern we have. They're first principles. They're validated insights, but we're weaving them together into a new whole greater than the sum of the parts. The greatest revolutionary act we can do today is the articulation of first principles. And we have to get over the arrogance of the conservative world in its fundamentalisms and the arrogance of the liberal world in its denying of all certainties. There's things we know, and we stand before the mystery. And the first thing we know is we know amor. Its insides are lined with love. And that's not a declaration. We're here to ontologize love. That love is not weak, love is strong. And meditation won't take you to love. It's very important. Very important. There's actually I want everyone to get this. There's no good research that actually validates a correlation, a direct, clear causation between meditation, and love. Meditation won't get you to love. It's one of its problems. Meditation will help you dissolve your sense of limited, separate self, but it won't get you to love. You got to practice love. Does everyone get this? This is very important. You got to practice love. You got to realize, that love is actually the heart of cosmos itself. That the interior of cosmos itself is built on allurement. And that cosmos is the progressive deepening of intimacies. That's the first principle. Now, again, are we aware of evil? Of course we're aware of evil. But you can't even say the word evil unless you realize that evil is a failure of intimacy. If you don't realize we live in an intimate universe, meaning it's intimacy from the very beginning, from the first nanoseconds of the Big Bang, with the mathematical principles all at play, and then the unfolding all the way through the worlds of matter and all of its levels, the worlds of mind, the worlds of matter, then the worlds of life, then the world of mind, from the physiosphere, matter, to the biosphere, life, to the noosphere, self-reflective mind. Every one of those levels, every one is an unfolding of a deeper intimacy, which means a shared, wider identity, That's what it means, What does intimacy? Do it with me in the chat box, Intimacy equals, this is a first principle, intimacy formula. Intimacy equals, Intimacy means shared identity in the context of relative otherness, not absolute otherness. There is no absolute otherness. And that's something that meditation helps you with. And so does chant, Intimacy is shared identity in the context of relative otherness, plus mutuality of recognition, plus mutuality of pathos, we feel each other, plus mutuality of purpose. And that's true from subatomic particles all the way through the molecular structures, the cellular structures, all the way through early plants, and then neural cords and neural nets and early animals and later animals, and all the way up to hominids on the savannah, then all the way through all the stages of human history that are moving towards progressive deepening of intimacies. Now, as that happens, as human power exponentially increases, then also the fringes of society, based on distorted first principles, because we lose touch with the broader picture, can also cause enormous damage. So there's a progressive deepening of intimacies. We move towards greater unions. Technologies get deeper and deeper, exterior technologies. Interior technologies get deeper and deeper. We hit the Renaissance, The separate self emerges, universal human rights, the emergence of the feminine, the scientific method, this whole new intimacy with reality, but the story is flawed. It's a flawed story. It's missing, gets locked into separate self. Gets locked into the sense of, the separate self has dignity, But I'm just a separate self. I'm a monad. It's a mechanistic universe. And that flaw in the story creates a distortion of first principles. We begin to operate in a success story, in a sense of win-lose metrics, which is the source of that flaw in the storyline, the source of every issue we're facing today in existential risk. So we got to go back and we got to ontologize love. And Amor and Jamie Long, who's been with us, and Jamie, welcome, did this beautiful Amor. And I want to invite everyone, and Oriana did a beautiful Amor, and Shad and the gang did a beautiful Amor, and Christian did a beautiful Amor. Anyone who wants to do an Amor, your voice, your unique self, your beauty, give us an Amor. So Amor that we do every week, its insides are aligned with love. Yay, Jamie. Take us inside. Amor. Cha.
Amor, 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 amor. Amor, 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 amor. Amor, 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 amor. Amor, 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 amor. Amor, 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 amor. Amor, 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 amor.
Jamie, thank you. Right? That's right. Directly from Jamie's heart. And you get, we're going to talk about unique self a little later, but you get that? That is reality having a Jamie experience, right? The sweetness, the tenderness, the integrity, right? The audacity. And you can actually feel Jamie with your permission, right? You can feel your whole life story, right? In that, right? You can feel everything, right? The heartache and the heartbreak and the heart opening. And then Jamie pours the amor into us. Does everyone feel that? Right? Thank you, Jamie, just for modeling that beauty and modeling, right? He literally picked up his instrument and began to play his instrument in the Unique Self Symphony. Okay, thank you. And I want to invite everyone to kind of take Jamie's beautiful model and make an amor. And we can sing it karaoke, right? You can, be creative. And you don't need, here's the story, you don't need a good voice. Okay, in my family, when they would sing the Sabbath songs, literally, right, they would ask me not to sing, right? Not to, my father has a very good voice and my brother Joey has a very good voice. I don't have a good voice. They all have these gorgeous voices. I'm like, oh, right? So at a certain point, I said, I'm just going to sing because I love God and I love reality and I love humanity and I love, right? So I sing, right? Don't worry. You don't need a quote unquote good voice. Your voice is gorgeous. So anyone who's up for it, right? Anybody, right? Let's go for it. Like all the way amor. Okay? All the way amor. David, give us the code. Give us the code for this week. Give us the code. All right, take us inside. David, blow us away.
Yes. Amen. Thank you so much, Dr. Mark. The pleasure of living our unique stories. Jamie, that was beautiful. And, the last couple of weeks, I've been really trying to immerse myself in both the imperfection and the injustices of my country, as well as the beauty and the greatness. And I've felt that there's a deep pleasure when I've allowed it to really saturate my being and rest in that paradox, as you so often invite us to, Dr. Mark. So I'm going to resonate the code and let's feel that paradox transforming into pleasure of transformation. Reality is motivated by pleasure. The highest pleasure is transformation. Transformation equals evolution. The highest pleasure of transformation is to know that your transformation transforms everything. The highest transformation possible is to participate in the transformation of God. The highest pleasure of evolution is to know that your evolution evolves everything. And the highest evolution possible is to participate in the evolution of God. And with that, I turn my word back to you, Dr. Mark.
That was gorgeous, David. That was gorgeous. And you're gorgeous. Can everyone feel David? Right? So first principles, they come through David in the way. And we can put those in the chat box. Let's see if we can knock those in the chat box so we can all see them in front of us. Right? That'd be fantastic. And just to feel this, okay? First principles. Now, we're about to comment on this whole story. This is incredibly important set of first principles, okay? But I want to just say something now, and then I want to turn right to Shahati. Okay, I want to turn to Shahati. But this is really, what do you do when you have something in your eye and you're trying to talk? You try and take it out of your eye and hope no one notices, okay? So I want to tell you something just so wild, just on this, and if someone can put it in the chat box, that'd be great, right? I want to tell you something just so wild, right? There it is, right? On this code. And then Shanti's going to tell you about, because we're going to actually spend an entire 7 days around this code. And Shahat and Claire are holding our yearly Dharma intensive. Is this our 7th or 8th year? Right? It's kind of incredible. We're going to be doing it this year, of course, online. And just imagine what it feels like in the world. Literally, I can't travel to Holland, but Americans can't be in Holland now. And so we got to make it one world again, and we're going to make it one world. And it is one world. We're going to be together on Zoom. We're going to be focused on this code, and we're going to unlock the next critical step in first principles. But I want to just do one piece of it now before I turn to Shati, because it's so wild. And we're going to hear from Barbara. We're going to hear from Barbara Marx Hubbard, right? From my beloved evolutionary partner and our beloved Barbara on this code. Okay, but let's just look at the code for a second, okay? Let's look at the code for a second, right? Reality is motivated by pleasure. The highest pleasure is transformation. Transformation equals evolution. Does everyone get that sentence? These are huge sentences. They require hours, but what evolution is a series of transformations. So in the old vision of the world, the sense was de ex machina, right? In other words, God spoke and there was the world. Now, that's not the sense of the internal texts. My colleague Sam Harris regularly misreads the biblical texts and caricatures them. Actually, there's different strands in the biblical text, and the text actually talks about not 6 days in the sense of 6 24-hour days. It talks about 6 periods of time. There was no sun and moon until several days in, so obviously we're not talking about days, right? So that's a huge mistake when, no, it's not talking about days. It's talking about this unfolding. And major thinkers, right, for 2,000 years of a tradition hold that these are 6 unfoldings. And when you read the text carefully, it talks about Tadshe ha'aretz desha, let the earth bring forth grass, meaning there's an interior process of evolution. Nonetheless, the public position, the public position was God waves a wand and reality appears. And it's not quite like that. It's not quite like that. If you read the mystery traditions carefully, and you read the modern mystery tradition of science, because science is the greatest mystery tradition we have. We've got to hold it that way. We actually realize that what reality is not abracadabra, right? It's there, right? It's actually a series of transformations. Does everyone get that? Right? You start with the first nanoseconds of the Big Bang, and then all the way through, right? From the first integration differentiation, right? When the first elementary particles, right, or the first come together, and we create a subatomic particle. And then the subatomic particles, right, they differentiate. We differentiate, right? The original matter differentiates as a subatomic particle. Then the subatomic particles come together and differentiate as an atom. And so these are transformations. Then an atom, right? Atoms come together and they differentiate as a molecule, and a molecule as a macromolecule. Each one of these is a complete transformation. It's a momentous leap, right? And then one leap, right, builds on the one before it. It's a series of transformations. Did everyone get that? If you really get that, like, be with me for a second, okay? Let's be with the first principles together. If you really get who you are, for real, not poetry, not poetry. You don't need poetry. Science is poetry. Science is a mystery tradition. If you really get it, you get that your particular transformation, Oriana's gorgeous transformation, Utz's gorgeous transformation, Mark's gorgeous transformation, Beth, it's good to see you with us, Beth. Beth's gorgeous transformation, right? Your transformation is literally, not figuratively, not metaphorically, literally, is in a direct line with all of the previous transformations from the moment of the Big Bang. Do you get that? And actually, all constituent elements of reality, exterior and interior, actually live in you. And your transformation, therefore, meaning all, stay close, all exteriors live in you. And all previous stages of evolution live in you. We're literally stardust. We're literally elementary particles. Literally, when we breathe in every breath that's ever been in reality, until probably about 2 years ago, and then we catch up. And it's all in us, and all interiors are in us. All of interior consciousness lives in us. That's one of the realizations of practice. It's direct, that's the interior sciences. So when I transform, my transformation is in direct line with the whole process, and my transformation evolves the whole process, right? It moves the entire thing forward. The whole thing moves forward. My transformation transforms the whole thing. Now, I want to say something before we get to the code, and we're going to get to Barbara. We're going to go till, as we always do, we're going to go till the top of the hour. Then we're going to move into first principles, and we're going to go actually deeper into the code. But just for now, within the context of church, our first hour, everyone knows, our first hour is one church, many paths, one mountain. Then our second half hour, 45 minutes, something like that, sometimes hour, but not more, is first principles. Okay? So that's our new schedule. We've been sending it out in our weekly mailing. Okay? So stay with this. So what's the one move we can make that will actually be a first principle that removes jealousy, removes the win-lose metrics, removes competition? Let me ask it again. What's the one ninja move, if you will? Right? It's my friend Evan's phrase. Right? What's the one change that changes everything? What's the one change that changes everything? What's the one world uniting move in which you literally in one swoop, you remove competition, you remove jealousy, you remove the status seeking, you remove the win-lose metrics, and everyone becomes part of the same shared story? What's the move? The move is the realization that growth and transformation is the nature of the human story. That the human story is actually a journey, but not metaphorically. That actually the cosmos itself is a journey. The cosmos itself is a story. The dogmatic materialist side of science doesn't realize that. Dogmatic side of religion didn't realize that. Religion said reality's a hallway to lead you to the better world. That's what reality is. Science said reality is a series of random facts, not actually science, but scientism, dogmas of science. But the deeper reality, both in spirit and in science, the deeper, more esoteric traditions, the deep implications of a true reading of contemporary science and a true reading of the inner space of spirit is that reality is a story, it's a journey. That's actually literally true, not metaphorically true. It's literally true. Reality is a series of transformations. That's literally true. Not to know that is to be ignorant, right? It's just stupid. It's just not true. Reality has a narrative arc. It's going somewhere. It has telos. It has direction. There's an inherent ceaseless creativity of cosmos that has direction. It's a series of transformations. And my growth, my transformation is part of that story. And there's no competition, because the nature of growth is I have to grow from where I am. And this is it's gorgeous. I'm so wildly excited to talk to you about this. It's gorgeous, right? Meaning I'm not competing with my beloved Christina Kincaid. No, she's in a different, right? We're in a unique but she has a different story, right? And so her growth, right? Her transformation is different than mine. And then Shad's transformation is different than Christina Amelon's, and David's transformation is different than Jamie Long's, right? And Beth's transformation is different than Enika's, and Oriana's transformation is different than her partner Randall's, right? And Medea in Toronto with Ivan, right? Your transformation, right? So we all have what we're going to call here our unique, we all have a unique starting point for our journey of transformation. That's what we're born into, that unique starting point. And we have to transform from there. So at this moment in my life, my success is based on my ability to accomplish my transformation, but my transformation is not in relation to you. It's in relation to me. By definition, my success is, have I, within the context of my life, in my lineage, in my life story, have I transformed? And it's got nothing to do with whether you've transformed. You've got to transform in the context of your unique self journey, your lineage, your family history, your gorgeousness, your rapture, and your wounds. All of it, it's yours to transform. But none of it's an accident, right? There's an arc of intention in Cosmos. You were born because Cosmos intended you to be born in a particular place, in a particular time, to a particular set of parents, with a particular social context, and there's great mystery. And we got to begin to be responsible for each other's journey. That's what's true, right? In others, I've got to begin to realize, no. My unique self's not my separate self. I'm responsible for Christina Amelon's journey, and she's responsible for mine. And I'm responsible for Ken Wilber's journey, and Ken's responsible for, right, David Ray Griffin's journey, and right, we're responsible for each other, right? There's collective responsibility. We stand together. We rise together, we fall together. So we can't just be in our journey. We're responsible for each other's journey, but our metrics of success is twofold. Did I accomplish my transformation? A, metrics 1. B, did I stand for your transformation? That's B. You got that? Does everyone get that? Metrics 1. Did I realize my transformation? There's no competition between me and you. Metrics 2, right? Did I stand for your transformation? That, we call that unique self symphony. We call that a planetary awakening in love through unique self symphonies, right? That's a set of first principles. Wow. Okay. So we're going to be talking about this in great depth and about the quality of pleasure that animates this entire story for a 7-day first principles retreat. Wow. Okay. Wow. It's going to be online, right? We're going to Zoom the world open. It's going to be just wildly beautiful. And take us inside, right? Tell us everything, right? And invite us with the gorgeous heart that is Shahati. Take us inside. Shahat Kortan.
I am so delighted to be with you from beautiful Spain. And I'm here to invite you to the 8th Summer Festival of Love, outrageous Festival of Love, which this year is online. And in some parts of the world, some small groups on the ground are also forming, spending some time. But that, of course, depends on the local health situation. In this time of amidst everything that's burning, everything that's shaking, and we all need to draw deeper in ourselves, to be able to hold ourselves, to be able to hold our loved ones, and to be able to hold and contribute to our community. So this year's festival is a special edition in a very special time. Our theme is pleasure, because when we're deeply challenged, as we all are, as I am, as we all are, we need to draw deeper into the deep pleasure that's at the core of our being. As we say, the pleasure that is our birthright. And Dr. Mark, as the holy magician as he is, has been developing a stunning set of first principles and practices around the theme of pleasure. And that will allow you to discover your unique pleasure map so that you can draw from a deeper place in yourself, as I've been experiencing myself in my month of lockdown. And what we're going to engage is the voices of pleasure. We all have voices of pleasure that somehow hold us, withhold us, support us. We're going to discover them in ourselves. There are the 20 principles of pleasure and the 6 level of pleasure. So it's a whole stunning first principles teaching. There will be workshops by different teachers like Christina Kincaid, Claire Molinar, myself, Tom Goddard, and our Belgian friends, James and Vicky. There will be fun things, there will be music, there will be movement. A lot will be offered. From August 10 to 14th, go to the website and register. And yes, come join us. I can't wait to be with you.
Right, let's get that in that. Thank you so much, Shahati. If we want to go there right now. And if you've never been with us for a festival, they're unbelievable. It's a Dharma laboratory, but you're not coming for the festival just for yourself. You're coming as Da Vinci. You're coming as Marcello Facinio, right? You're coming, right, as, right, Michelangelo. You're coming as an artist of reality. You're coming as a social artist, right? You're a social artist. And we're going to come together. We're going to place our attention. We're going to be talking about placing of attention the next few weeks. In part 2, we're going to place our attention and we're going to actually break open the first principles together. And I want to just add one thing before we conclude One Church, Many Paths, One Mountain, and we go on to part 2. Okay, right? And it's unbelievable. It's beyond imagination beautiful. And we're going to hear from Krista before we finish. We're going to finish in a second. But just to kind of get this, when we come together and we place our attention on each other, we move from the rational to the ratio, the source of the word rational. We're in music together. When we place our attention, something happens, something opens up, right? We become not the old pre-modern guru function, which is so easily subject to abuse, in which we don't believe in. We believe in a unique self-symphony, right? In which the next Buddha is the Buddha and the Sangha. There can be individual Buddhas with their unique self-genius, but we're part of a Sangha, right? We're part of a unique self-symphony. When we come together and we place our attention together, that is where the first principles break open. So imagine you're in Florence. Imagine you're at Plato's symposium, where they're gathered around the table pouring libations. We're going to have, right, wine, and if you've got an alcoholic issue, we're going to have water, and we're going to have, just dance, and we're going to have just an enormous sense of what they call in the Hasidic tradition a fistula. A fistula means a wild holy party, but it's a party of Dharma. It's a party of first principles. So I really want to invite everyone, please, right, be there with us, okay? Not just for you. Did you get that? This is not just me loving you and you loving me. It's we loving she, right? It's us loving the first principles. I can't speak the first principles without your attention. And your question and your attention and your investigation and your wisdom is going to make it deeper and going to make it bigger. So you're not an extra. This is not, oh, should I do this for myself? Should I not? No. The world is hanging in the balance, literally, right? We're at this leading edge of culture where we have this responsibility to articulate these first principles. And they should live long after our names are forgotten, right? This is for the sake of she. This is the unique self-symphony. So I just want to say it, if I can, with your permission, I want to just say it straight. And we just want to talk fucking straight here, okay? And I need you there, okay? We need you there. You're not extra. There's no extra on the set, right? Those of us here, we need to be here together, okay? Wow. Krista, take us inside. Tell us how to join, just in general, how to do outrageous acts of love. Tell us how to realize this. Krista, Lady Krista, right? Our lead executive producer who's come on board. Shati, thank you. That was stunning. Krista, we turn the word to you. It's so exciting. There she goes. Krista, Lady Krista, take us inside.
Yes, hello everyone, and thank you, Mark, and thank you, Shahad, for this beautiful sharing of the Outrageous Love Festival. And as most of you know by now, our main practice here at One Church, Many Paths, One Mountain is to commit outrageous acts of love. And there are different ways to do that. The first one is to write an outrageous love letter. And this is a way to access outrageous love in your own body and feel how outrageous love wants to move in you, as you, and through you. And another way that we do that is that we meet every week on Monday at 11 a.m. Pacific time, which is 8 p.m. European time. And we offer you an online writing class, me together with Christina Amelong. And this is a space where we write to the evolutionary love codes. And it's a beautiful way to deepen the Dharma, to learn to practice and embody the Dharma even more. So you are very welcome to join us there. I will post my email in the chat box right after this, so you can apply there and I will send you the information. Another way to commit outrageous acts of love is actually by committing them and doing our practice in the world, sharing our love. And we all share our love at our Facebook page. And I just want to show you what that looks like. I am amazed by all the beautiful faces that are appearing on our Facebook timeline, as you can see here. We have our beloved Joyce, who actually wrote us her song here, and I want to read it to you. It's a song that she wrote herself, and I think it's so beautiful how the Dharma and how outrageous love is speaking through her. If we all harmonize together, sing our song of life and be alive, with one great chorus, join our voices, be our joyful music, by our joyful music, we will survive. Yes, by our joyful music, we will thrive. And as you can see below, she writes, someday I might be brave enough to sing it. Well, Joyce, this is my invitation again to you. As you have seen Jamie singing the Amor chant, please, I invite you and encourage you, show your unique face. Let us hear your unique song and your unique voice, because we need it here. And I can't wait to receive it and hopefully play it next week in our church. And here above, you can see many more stories. We are dancing, we are singing, we are writing love letters and sharing all the stories. There's so much inspiration going on here from all over the world, people committing outrageous acts of love. So go ahead and click on the link and visit this Facebook page and write your own outrageous love stories. If you do, please click here on the community page. This is where all of you can post, and I will reshare all the posts on the homepage. Super exciting. I can't wait to read even more stories this week. Another way to step in is by visiting our website, which is onechurch.world. If you go here, you can see here above, here is the page, Outrageous Acts of Love. You can read all about the Dharma, what this first practice is all about, and how you can join us. As I've just shared about it before, you can click here on the watch page, and here all of our videos will be shared. We create every week a beautiful featured clip coming from the Dharma of One Church, and you can go ahead and look at them. And of course, it's a beautiful invitation to share it with your friends and invite your friends to learn about the Dharma. And of course, come and join us here in One Church every week. And all of the replays also show up here. And then if you click here on resources, on books, you will find all the books that Dr. Mark Gaffney and Barbara Marx Hubbard have written. Beautiful way to deepen your understanding of the Dharma. So take a look there. And then last but not least, you are invited to join us, to join this communion of global evolutionaries and to become a member of One Church. And as Mark said, we literally cannot do it without you. We need you to step in. This church belongs to all of us. The Dharma needs all of us to step in and join this holy, holy party. As you can see here, you can choose to make a one-time donation, but even better, become a member, and you can choose your own unique contribution. And if you do become a member, you will also become part of our online community where we share even more with each other, but you can also study. You will gain access to these 9 courses. All of these courses are recorded at the Outrageous Love Festival. They are hours and hours of the Dharma, awakening your unique self, reclaiming eros, and many more, as you can see. And there are many practices inside that you can do by yourself to integrate and embody the Dharma even more. So you are invited to step in and become a member, and I can't wait to see you inside. Thank you so much for joining us here every week. See you next week. And with that, I give my word back to you, Mark.
Yes, thank you, Lady Krista.
Maybe post your awesome post on Outrageous Act of Love also.
Ahati, we can hear you,
Oh,
which is great, which is awesome. Okay.
I am so sorry.
No, we love hearing you. That's fantastic. So we're going to bring One Church, Many Paths, One Mountain to a close, but one very big deal, right? You know, really big deal, and it's really exciting. Okay. So I want to just open up an invitation. One of the expressions of first principles has been evolutionary love codes and evolutionary sermons. Christina Amelon, together with David, is leading that project. Suzette's on that project. Christina's the kind of team leader, and she's going to be making a big presentation, inviting people to get involved in that particular project next week, so we can actually get everything transcribed, and she's going to take charge in her beautiful fierce warrior way next week and talk to people about it. But anyone who wants to get involved in that particular project already, whether it's transcribing, funding, right? We've got to get those two particular, this is our particular interior, right? Those two interfacing with culture, right? Really, really important books. Evolutionary Love Codes, and then there'll be a couple of volumes of evolutionary sermons, right, which are going to be short pieces that we've done here. This is almost, what week are we in, Krista? We're almost at 200, or did we pass 200? What week are we in right now? Anybody? Help me. Help me. What week are we in? Someone going to tell me? 195? Is that true? Are we 195 this week? That's kind of unbelievable. We've done 195 weeks, right, in a row. And so we want to collect this. And Christina Amelon's going to make a presentation on it next week. But even before then, right, if you want to find Christina Amelon, right, and get involved, fantastic. If you want to get involved with the Unique Self Institute, which is about, we're going to be doing new versions of the Unique Self book, right, and an entire Unique Self web presence, and doing that particular code of Unique Self into the world, right? Claire Millionaire is the director of the Unique Self Institute, and she's going to be bringing that into the world in a big way, okay? Right? Shad and Claire are holding the festival, right? You got that? Right? So you want to get involved there. First come for sure. But if you want to get involved, if you want to help with anything, right? At the same time, at the very core of the center, the very, very core of the whole thing is the Eros Project. The Eros Project and the Outrageous Love Project, which are co-directed by Dr. Christina Kincaid, right? Who's deep now in the, right, putting out of the phenomenology in the Outrageous Love books. Starting in about September, friends, we're going to be putting out close to a book a month, right? Probably for like several years, or might be every other month, but it's intense. We're in the great library mode, right? To get the first principles down, right? We need partnership. We need partnership. And if I can just permission say something personal, I thank Goddess for energy, and I'm a little tired, right? So, right, partnership meaning full-time editor, right? Some more, right, people on the team, right, who can kind of do more, transcribe, edit, right, literary edit, some of the marketing sides, right, are critical. Our executive director, Kirsten Zohar, is doing a fabulous job, right? She's working on the Distinctions Project. She's deep in with me with the books. She's now transferring, right, One Church to Kristen. I'm trying to give everyone a sense of what's going on. You can kind of feel it. So figure out where you want to step in. Okay, figure out where you want to step in. There's a lot of doors, right? A lot of doors, so step in. Okay, like all the way. Like, we need you. We're doing this together. This is our revolution. Oh my God. Cha. So thank you, everyone. We're now at 11:15. Yeah, I want to just do a concluding chant, right? How can anyone ever tell you that you are anything less than beautiful? Tell me when you're ready. Suzette, Christina Amelon, how can anyone ever tell you that you are less than whole? Right? Right? That's who we are. We look in each other's eyes, and then we're going to do, for those of you who can stay, we're going to blow it open in 30 minutes, and we're going to focus directly on our code for this week and do the first principles of this code. And Barbara Marks Hubbard's going to do a piece, and I'm going to do a piece, and we're going to put them together 30 minutes. I mean, it's going to be hugely important. So everyone's completely welcome. Right, let's be in this together in part 2. But first, let's close out One Church, Many Paths, One Mountain with that chant. We kind of find each other's eyes, right? How can anyone ever tell you? Bring us inside when you are ready. Breathe, part 2. Here we go. Let's look at the code. First principles. We're now in first principles. We're in part 2, right? We're relaxed, right? No apologies. We're relaxed. Joe Rogan does a show, and he does it for, I watched, someone sent it to me. Christina sent it to me, so I watched a little bit of it. And he goes 3 hours, and he's right. Well, now we're not going 3 hours, right? But he's right? We want to do these little sound bites. We got to go deep. We got to be willing to go deep. One of the things that the intellectual dark web, which kind of exploded and kind of disappeared, but it was very important, was that it went deep, right? And it violated what people thought was the shallow nature of people's hearts and minds. So everyone said, oh, you got to put up a clip that's like 1 minute, 2 minutes. That's all people's attention span. No. Don't let social media hijack reality. Unplug, go deep, right? Step inside, okay? And that's why we've expanded church so you can come just for the first hour or hour and a few minutes. But I want just to invite everyone, let's be in this revolution together and do with us part 2. It's such an honor to have you. Okay, here we go. 1, do we have a drum roll? We have a drum roll in the house? Let's get a drum roll. Drum roll in the house. Drum roll. Woo! Okay, now if the one thing that's annoying about this one church, many paths, one mountain is me, I apologize. All right, I'm a pain in the ass. I'm sorry. Right? So get me out of the way. Get what I'm saying? Don't get caught up. Right? Don't get caught up. Right? Like, let's step inside, man. Right? Let's do this together. So let's look at the code. Here comes the code, okay? So reality is motivated by pleasure. So I'm going to talk about this code and Barbara's going to talk about this code. We're going to go about 30 minutes. Reality is motivated by pleasure. The highest pleasure is transformation. And we've already talked about today earlier in One Church, Many Paths, One Mountain, about reality being a series of transformations. And my transformation is only understandable in the context of the series of transformations. So my transformation is the next stage in the transformation of reality itself. I am the next transformation. But it's deeper than that. Reality is motivated by pleasure. The highest pleasure is transformation. Transformation equals evolution. Now let's get that. There's pleasure in transformation. We think about transformation as work. It is work, right? It takes effort, right? It takes commitment. It takes ecstasy. It takes rapture. It takes focus. It takes discipline. It takes sacrifice. But all of that is part of pleasure. And we have a very narrow view of pleasure. And we're going to be talking about this summer in our summer Dharma intensive. We're going to be talking about 10 voices of pleasure and 22 principles of pleasure and 6 levels of pleasure. It's an entire new set of first principles we've never done together. It's super exciting. But just for now, let's get that pleasure's more than ice cream. Number 1. And 2, getting pleasure from ice cream is a great art. Not so simple, right? How do you actually get pleasure from ice cream? How are you blown away by ice cream? How does ice cream literally fuck you open? And until you're just dazzled, right, by the goodness of reality, right? So getting pleasure from something I've already tasted once before, so I'm no longer in the counterfeit pleasure of novelty, which is not counterfeit, it's not wrong, it just doesn't sustain, right? Reality gives us an initial burst, an initial outbreak of pleasure. What's called by some of the mystics in the interior sciences, it's called arousal from above. An arousal from above is the first take. Wow, the first time I tasted that ice cream, the first time I've eaten those gorgeous vegetables. I'm not going to say steak because steaks are usually created through brutality to animals. So if you're doing steak, you should be doing free range. Right? Being brutal to animals is one of the great tragedies of this century. We're going to look at it in 50 years and we're going to be completely shamed. So easy on the steak. Don't eat a steak unless you know minimally that the animal wasn't tortured for 3 months for your steak. You don't want to be participating in that, okay? Just a little bracket there. Okay, so pleasure, let's kind of get this. Let's get this, it's deep, okay? Right, to get pleasure from your ice cream, to get pleasure from physicality, to get pleasure from the senses, the 5 senses, to get pleasure from your mind, from your body, beyond the first time. Right, to actually be able to fulfill, remember 20 years ago, 25 years ago? Oh my God, I'm so dating myself. This is so embarrassing. But how did Madonna sing it? Someone put it in the chat box, right? Like a virgin for the very first time. But you got it right, Madonna. Thank you, sister. Right? What was the name of that song? Let's put it in the chat box. Anyone has it. Like a virgin for the very first time. That is in the lineage traditions of the interior sciences. In the lineage traditions of the interior sciences, like a virgin for the very first time is the definition of enlightenment. Enlightenment means to re-virginate. More than 30 years ago, David. Can you believe that? More than 30 years ago. Was that before I was born? No, I don't think so. Okay? Right? To re-virginate is the ability to be like, right. When I step into One Church, Many Paths, One Mountain, right? And I know when you step in, I'm blown away. This is like the first time we did it. Right? Wow. Right? Whenever Barbara and I would talk every day, we're like, wow, we get to talk and share Dharma. Right? Right? Our evolutionary partner. Right? When we love each other, right? We're blown away like for the first time. For the first time, we get to look at each other and say, eyes, right? Eyes, right? And we're like, ah, right? Right? Wow. Does everyone get that? Right? Right? I said to my beloved Christina Kincaid this morning, eyes? I said, eyes? There you are. Right? There you are. Right? Wow. Right? So pleasure is always to re-virginate. It's like a virgin for the very first time. And there's levels of pleasure. So there's ice cream. That's level 1, but there's lots of levels. So the highest level of pleasure is the pleasure of transforming. So the sacrifice, the commitment, the goodness, the love, the pain, the ecstasy, the joy, but it's all pleasure. Does everyone get that? It's all pleasure. It's all pleasure. There's a pleasure of transformation. And that pleasure literally animates subatomic particles. Subatomic particles are filled in their interior with pleasure. You can actually access it. It actually lives in you because we are billions, trillions of quarks, hadrons, leptons, muons, then subatomic, right? Atomic, right? Right? Molecules, macromolecules, it all lives in us. And it's why we're driven by pleasure, right? Because reality itself is driven by pleasure. Pleasure drives reality. Reality has what we might call desire. There's a desire in reality that moves the whole story. It's the appetite of cosmos. It's the allurement, to put it in evolutionary science terms. It's the allurement. It's the electromagnetic field. It's the strong and the weak nuclear. It's the gravitational. What's under gravity? Nothing. There's an allurement that drives the whole thing. And love is the precise balance between allurement, I'm drawn towards, and autonomy, the independence of my trajectory, in the integrated, synergized balance between the two. We get love, we get eros. And eros, whose interior quality is pleasure. Eros drives reality. What's eros? Right? Eros is the experience of radical aliveness, seeking, desiring ever deeper contact, and ever larger wholeness. That's eros. Eros is the experience of radical aliveness, seeking, desiring ever deeper contact, ever larger wholeness. And that eros drives subatomic particles, and it drives you and me. It's one eros. That's what we mean. It's not fanciful. It's not declaration. It's one love, one heart. It's one eros all the way up and all the way down. So this process of evolution, which is a series of transformations, awakens in me. And then I transform, and the same pleasure that drives the entire process, that's what moves the whole thing. Everything's moved by this balance of allurement and autonomy. And there's pleasure in both. It's called eros. So the interior quality of eros is pleasure. So fragmentation, pathological division is painful. It's not pleasurable. It's the opposite of pleasure. Okay? So the highest pleasure, right, is transformation. And the highest transformation is to know that your transformation literally transforms the whole thing. And if you actually get that the God you don't believe in doesn't exist. So the small God, the caricatured God, and the God who says, I love this nation, I hate this nation. The God who says, Aztec and Mayan God, let's rip out 10,000 virgins' heart. Or the strain of God that says, let's kill all the men, women, and children. No, the God you don't believe in doesn't exist. That's a construction, a distorted construction of social reality. It's a social construction of a distortion of reality that happens as consciousness evolves until it clarifies. So consciousness is a series of transformations, just like exterior is a series of transformations. Stay close. Exteriors, subatomic particles till hominids, till us, series of transformations. Interiors are a series of transformations, right? Series of transformations in our worldview. So the trajectory is the evolution of consciousness, the evolution of culture and consciousness, which itself is the evolution of Eros. It's the evolution of love, right? So when you bring that together, you realize, oh, the God you don't believe in doesn't exist. God is the reality of the whole thing. God is both the personal that holds us, the quality of personhood that lives in me and lives in Jack and lives in Sam. That quality of personhood is part of the larger field of personhood. It's one of the great mistakes of the meditative tradition, that they emphasized only the impersonal and not the personal. They actually dance together. Reality is a dialectic of personal and impersonal. So the quality of personhood that lives between us is the personhood that drives the cosmos, right? That lives in me. So God is the reality of the whole thing, personhood and impersonal, and all the laws of physics, all the laws of chemistry, right? And then all of infotech and all of biotech and all of culture in every stage of history, from matter to life to mind. All of that's God. And so when I transform, when I evolve as the leading edge of transformation, I'm evolving God. Did you get that sense? You got to get it in your body, and you actually have to enter into the inside of the inside. The mind can barely even begin to wrap around it. You got to expand into an open, free consciousness, an open, free space. You can actually begin to imagine my evolution is the evolution of God, literally. Literally. My evolution is the evolution of God. My transformation is the transformation of God. And God says, I can't transform without you. I love you so much, says the infinite quality of cosmos, that I can't do it without you. So I'm waiting for you. Let's hold hands. Let's transform together. Right? That's what it means to be madly in love. Wow. I turn to Barbara Marx Hubbard. Take us into this code, right? And blow it open for us. And I just want to say, and we're going to go to Barbara. I was listening, a few years ago to a gentleman who was talking about, philosophy, and he was very low key and very deadpan and just, matter of fact. And, of course you could feel the egoic structures underneath, but it was very low key, right? So I'm not low key, right? Because I'm excited. And we got to stop being embarrassed to be excited. We've allowed fundamentalism to hijack excitement, right? If you're serious, you're just low key and you talk about the most serious things in a low key voice. Low key is beautiful. It's a beautiful way to go. And so is excited. And low key is excited, and excited is also serious and deep and rational and transrational, right? Together, right? So here we get it. We're excited because you know why we're excited? Because we're excited to heal suffering, right? And we're excited to evolve consciousness, and we're excited to have every human being live their unique story. And we know that the world hangs in the balance. And so we're passionate about this. So let's be passionate together. Barbara Marx Hubbard, take us inside.
Wow. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm so filled with everybody's prayer being part of the same great prayer. In some sense, it's totally personal, and every person is completely part and connected to the whole. So I would like to just look at this great code in a slightly more detail.
Yay.
Okay. The reality is motivated by pleasure. So let's first take this beautiful large-scale view that Mark has called universe a love story. What that actually means is that the entire moment from the Big Bang on through the quarks, the electrons, the protons, the neutrons, the cells, the multicells, all of them are motivated by pleasure. And then think about you and me inside us, with at least 52 trillion cells per person here, which we don't think about too often. But what are they doing? They're totally attracted to each other. Because if for 1 second our internal organization, which is awesomely intelligent, that these eyes and ears and this is all made by cells attracted to each other internally as our own love story. So every now and then, it's really worthwhile to tune in and feel the attractive force activating in the entire impulse of your body, your brain, the whole thing. It's like totally awesome in its reality and in its pleasure. Then think, I'm not using my phrase here, that we are conscious evolution. That is to say, with all these billions of years that it took to bring conscious humans into form, and because, as you said, Mark, we're creating a mimetic passageway for our species, we have to have the codes to get forward together if we want to do it to the uttermost. So we, each one of us, is conscious evolution in person. The awesome intelligence, and not only of all the cells, but then the gathering of the cells, and then the purpose of each of us. And I've been using recently, what is your deepest heart's desire as conscious evolution? I tell you, if you can get a hold of that, my deepest heart's desire activates my deepest genius code as an expression of the impulse of evolution personally in me. And I've discovered you've got to tap into your deepest heart's desire. It's even more than a prayer, because the deepest heart's desire is coded in there. It's not a request, it's a reality, but it's not easy to find it. And I've found my deepest heart's desire over the years. And then when I say yes to it, I know I'm activating the entire evolutionary journey in me. So then what happens to you when you say yes to your deepest heart's desire, which is that attractive essence of your being? You become telerotic. Now, the person who is telerotic is telos and eros as one person. And if you are telerotic, it appears and feels that the impulse of evolution that's been going through the spiral for billions of years as erotic is also exactly the direction of your pleasure to create. And when you really think about this, the amount of pleasure that God put into this story for us to do all this, but if we say yes to it, it turns it on. So this is the moment of the very, very important yes. And I always like to take a sweep of that evolutionary spiral from single cell to multi-cell to animal to human to greater consciousness, greater freedom, greater complex and loving order. And to notice that whatever your unique prayer is, that you are going and yearning for greater consciousness. You're yearning for greater freedom of expression and being. And you're yearning for deeper, deeper intimacy in complex order or union with beloveds. You're yearning for it. And if you're yearning for it and it's your heart's desire and evolution's impulse is who you are, do you think you could be a failure? Not really. There is no failure when you are aware of this. I mean, you can feel certain things aren't working, but the ultimate reality of this, it can't be a failure. So now I just want to go briefly here to the highest forms to participate in the evolution of God. And I'm using the language now that Mark and I use with Howard Bloom, is a self-organizing universe, capital S, capital O. And I like God better, but just for the moment, to be saying yes in this mimetic code to God as the self-organizing universe that is infinitely available inside you when you're saying yes to the part of the code that is yours. So what happens then is I think we become the new humans. And one of the things I've thought of the evolutionary church, of evolutionary love, it's a birthplace of the new humans. And it's not that this is a new idea, but to actually incarnate it the whole way at the time of planetary crisis, because of the timing on the planet, this church is being born during the greatest crisis that the earth has ever felt. And I would say that in order to understand that the crisis is a birth, potentially, of every one of us as an expression of the impulse of evolution, and in Mark and my beautiful working together here toward a planetary awakening in love through a unique self-symphony, that's like in the old Catholic religion, the second coming of Christ. Actually, we're talking about the coming of humanity as the love of evolution. That's good enough for the second coming of Christ. And the appearance on the planet of Homo, Amore Universalis, is a birthing ground. This church is a birthing ground for Homo, Amore Universalis in every one of us. And I turn my word to you, Mark.
That's beautiful. We end, and I know we usually split them. We usually do prayer in one church, many paths, one mountain, and then we do sense making. But this week they're together. Sense making requires prayer. So let's pray. So let's pray. And Leonard Cohen, right? The Holy and the Broken Hallelujah, which just raises and integrates everything today. Right? Thank you, everyone, for being with us. We're going to pray together at the end. And it's an opportunity. The gates are open. You can literally feel the gates open. Can you feel it? Can you feel we're on the inside together? And this is a moment where we can drop a prayer in. And prayer is us turning to the personhood of cosmos. Not only to the infinity of power that animates reality, but to the infinity of intimacy that knows our name. And asking for everything. Ask for everything. And just like I heard Barbara talking now, because of the quality of intelligence that is Mark, and the quality of intelligence that is David, and the quality of intelligence that is Christina, could hear Barbara. So my quality of intelligence, if you know anything about how science works, like the reality, the interior of science, my quality of intelligence is inseparable from the entire field, but literally so. Literally inseparable from the entire field. Read Maria Mitchell, who's a great physicist, on the inseparability of the whole story, Freeman Dyson, and the inseparability of the whole story. So if my intelligence hears Barbara, then clearly the field of intelligence hears Barbara. So when I pray, the field of intelligence hears and receives the holy and the broken hallelujah. Leonard Cohen. Leonard, thank you for being with us, brother. Holy and broken hallelujah. And with that, we end with prayer afterwards. We'll come in the chat box, we'll meet together, and we'll pray. Take us inside.
Now I've heard there was a secret chord that David played, and it pleased the Lord. But you don't really care for music, do you? It goes like this: the fourth, the fifth, the minor fall, the major lift, the baffled king composing hallelujah. to touch. I've told the truth, and it didn't come to fool you. And even though it all went wrong, I'll stand before the Lord of song with nothing on my tongue but hallelujah.
And let's pray for everything, and let's offer it all up, and we meet in the chat box. And I pray for clarity, right? Nathan, brother. Love you, Nathan. Nathan, so good to be with you. I pray for clarity and resources to be in the sustained experience of my deepest heart's desire. Oriana, always at your altar, I pray for the world awakening as the future made present in one heart and love. Oh my God, right? Krista Josepha, I pray to clarify my deepest heart's desire and focus on serving the evolution of love through my transformation. Zohar Rachel, praying to transform in a way that literally transforms everything. Beth, right? God, help me to become the next greatest version of myself every day, right? Lirazi, I pray that each one of us embodies the first principles and practices so clearly that together we literally birth Homo Amor. Oots, I pray for a little peace of mind, soul and body for the coming night. Amen, Oots. Amen, Oots. You just hugged you. Right? Jacqueline, Lady J, I pray to realize my own transformation, that I stand for yours and yours and yours, so together we may birth this wondrous planetary awakening and love through unique self symphonies. Amen. David, I pray to find inspiration and clarity in every domain of my life for the evolution of love. Terry, I pray that people feel both held and called forth in my presence. Jamie, right? Jamie, right? I pray for outrageous love, right? Meme to permeate this internet, right? Tracy Maxwell, welcome. I pray for my deepest transformation, right? Amen. Joyce, sister, right? The demand to demand fairness and justice. Harry, we didn't get to meet this Friday. We're meeting this week. I hope, I can't wait. I pray for all people, right, who are facing death, right? And to know that death is a night between 2 days, which changes everything. Raquel, I pray for an explosion of eros on all levels, the human and the more than human world connecting us, right? The visible and invisible. Mosa, we miss you. Mosa, make another Amor for us. Your first one started everything, right? I pray that the scared might be held by the sacred, right? Penny Lane, right? I pray for the words in order to tell everyone, right? Who is reality, right? Peter, but I pray for the opportunity in caps to feel eros and fullness inside and outside, right? Liraz, praying for my mother's heart to be at peace, right? Ulrike, so good to be with you. Ulrike, I ask for taking my unique risk again and again. Krista Josepha, Amen, Oots, love you, brother. Inika, this is Paul, right? Paul, I pray for a better understanding between Europe and the US. I so miss the nuances, right? Suzette, right? I pray to continue to transform and help others, right? To do the same so we can literally together transform the world. Shahati, I pray that we find depth for transformation for our beloved festival online, and right, and Penny, right, and Rob, I pray for clarity in my decision, right? And let's feel it. Francis, I wanted some new faces. I pray that I may know who I am. Thank you, Francis, right? Kathy, but I pray for myself and all citizens of the world to discover their deepest heart's desire, and together we weave these prayers together and we lift them like a prayer to the sky. Okay, so thank you everyone for being with us. And you have to sign off now, I'm just gonna do the last 30 seconds. We're gonna see each other. We're gonna come in and actually see each other. It was fantastic. Gorgeous day, right? And you can actually feel it. Can you feel it, everybody? So here's just this chant, right? If you have to go, you have to go. And if you can stay with us to actually see each other, just this simple chant, okay? Because this is how we feel to each other. To speak of your love in the morning, and to trust you through the night.